Said grains market reactions on Friday, and yet new trade developments with Donald Trump. Jerry Gidel is ready to assess all of that and more right here on Connected Farmer, your channel to keep up to date with the latest trends in agriculture and livestock. So, Jerry, we had the markets this week with mixed reaction, very choppy. What do you think has impacted?
Well, I think that the weather situation in the Midwest is starting to get people a little bit more nervous here with the rain event that happens west of the Mississippi. And that Iowa particularly had a significant amount of rain this week. And it stretched on down the Mississippi and even parts of the plains. Now, the plains definitely could utilize rain at this time of year for sure along the way. I think that's a factor in here that's kind of caused a mixed reaction earlier in the week. But the action on things is, relatively speaking, we're people are getting nervous here as we go into the spring plantings at this point. Definitely a lot of optimism about planting corn, and corn loves to get in early and get things going. There has been a push nationwide here for some more beans early in the season, but in general here, the market activity is bouncing along. And also, as you mentioned, uh, lots of commentary going on about in the world markets here this about potential ideas of the U.S. and China getting together. President Trump continues to be talk about the things he's getting done and all this kind of stuff and that, but the Chinese haven't been as positive about what's going on in the back channels here as he's been going on. There has been some movement from the China to change some of the particular uh, things in the microchips and things of that nature that they can't get sourced other places that they're dropping. But it's not a wholesale idea about changing and backing off on these ex excessive tariffs on
Well,
either
but
or
as
some.
we have anticipated, we have some commitments from some countries, like Japan is has committed already to buy more soybeans from the U.S., but there is still not an official deal with.
Yes, yes, that in China. There's also been some talk about the Indians coming up with some opportunities to get their situation. They have been really a very difficult one with some pretty high percentage. I think the U.S. retaliations were over 40% on that one. So there has been definitely commentary out there. I think the interesting thing is that I'm not sure who wants to be the first one to make the official announcement on that. I kind of felt like we might see something late this week or early next from the Japanese, but now I've got impressions it might be yet and closer to the end of the 90 days, which, by the way, is in late June or early July. So that's quite a ways away here as we just get done with April here at this point. So uh, it's a interesting situation that nobody wants to say they're the ones that officially uh, is weak in all these things back and forth. So hopefully we get away from that theory and we get back to actually getting these tariffs backed off and getting free trade in the U.S. and the world back and going again without all this rumblings about he said about different taxes and tariffs going forward.
Yeah, so what do you expect that will happen next week?
Well, we've had a little positive response to the rain, and the rain activity this week, it kind of kept building. And boy, there next week's progress numbers traditionally were 12% last week, and we were around 27%. So in essence, a 12 to 15% increase this particular week. It'll be at the best, and that number is going to be probably in that 24, 25% level, which will say, oh, we're on target. But in reality of it is the coming week here, we're going to have a lot of places west of the Mississippi, even parts of Illinois, that's not really going to get rolling here for first half of the week. So it'll be interesting on our progress numbers that are out. Soybeans, they were at 7 or 8% last week. There has been a tendency over the years, the last 5 to 7 years, to put more beans in at this stage, and that because of the potential scenario here of better yields if you have the beans in a little longer than the old traditional thing, plant all the corn and then turn around and plant beans mid-May and after. But we'll see how that goes at this point. That numbers will be out Monday afternoon. So from there, on the negative side, or at least on the standpoint of weather situations for wheat, definitely there were some decent showers from west central Texas through Oklahoma and Kansas. So the crop conditions over there will probably improve a little bit along the way. At this point, I wouldn't look for them to be huge jump, but there will be an improvement in the winter wheat, and that's the reason why wheat has been somewhat sluggish this last week, even with conditions being less than ideal in the Southwest.
But are you seeing anything about South America? You expect any changes? Because there is some talk about dryness in some areas of Brazil and Argentina.
Yes, there is some dryness in that, and it's involving the second crop corn and out in Brazil. There's been a lot of optimism from the weather people about this rain activity continuing to be pretty active through the first half of May, and that there was some decent rains early last week, excuse me, late last weekend, and that, but they really have turned into another dry spell, and that's what happens with the South American rainy season. It's there, and then all of a sudden it disappears, and that keeps everybody nervous. And I think that is a big factor yet in Brazil for sure. Argentina, their harvest is moving along. Actually, the clearing right now would probably help some of their soybean harvest. Their second crop, or their corn they plant after they plant beans this year, still is ways off. That doesn't really start harvesting until late May and June. So that could use some more rain yet during the month of May. South America, I think, has, in the short term here at least, has lost a little bit of interest here because of all the excitement in Chinese and U.S. trade talks and lack of talk and all the other things involving tariffs and all that. But I think you're exactly right. That is an important thing to keep an eye on at this point. South America, if the Chinese and the U.S. don't get together on something on the soybean demand, they're going to be looking heavily down to South America, which could easily start to send various other countries around the world to look to the U.S. for supplies later in the year, since if China is going to be exclusively buying the South American supplies going forward.
All right, we'll see all of those factors next week. Thank you.
Exactly. We'll end up taking another look at this thing. Things in Washington are continuing to be a big highlight for the markets, and keep a close eye on that. Hopefully we get a little cooler heads in this thing and we start to get more things straightened out on our world trade.